What's going on, everyone? This is the Go Long Podcast. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. I think this might be one of the best ones yet we've had since launching this close to a year ago, I guess. EJ Manuel, former Buffalo Bills starting quarterback, he comes on to really relive the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. Really revealed a lot that I've never heard before. I don't know if anybody's heard before about how things went down in Buffalo. As a lot of our listeners know, Jim Monis, my podcast co-host, he's been so open about the whole situation and believes that the Buffalo Bills mishandled EJ Manuel terribly in year number 2 when they benched him for Kyle Orton, and the way that kind of went down definitely relates to a lot of what we see today. Obviously, a lot of rookie quarterbacks going through some pretty hard times in the NFL. Well, I think EJ Manuel has a lot of lessons that those quarterbacks could take and those teams could take to 2021. And also when that happened, EJ Manuel kind of entered a dark place that I don't think anybody really knows about. And he was so unbelievably honest with us in this conversation. Cannot thank everybody enough for listening. Be sure to rate, review, share the podcast. It's you guys who really make this thing go, who make all of Go Long go, golongtd.com. We'd love it if you subscribe today to the newsletter to get every story, every column, every show delivered directly to your email inbox. Cannot thank you enough for the support. So yeah, we'll get right to it here. Here's EJ Manuel joining us for close to an hour. All right, ladies and gents, without further ado, it is the man himself, EJ Manuel, joining the Go Long Podcast. You can catch him at the ACC Network, ESPN, on Twitter at EJ Manuel3. A lot of our listeners, Jim, obviously, they remember you as the Buffalo Bills starting quarterback. So, EJ, it's great to have you on. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. And Jim, when I heard from you the other day, I don't think we've talked in, a year, maybe over a year.
Been a little bit.
Yeah, man. So to get a text from you was exciting. And then to hear that you guys are doing the Go Long podcast, obviously I'm, happy to be on, and thank y'all for having me.
EJ, it's crazy. People don't realize, we spent, it's a good, 4 years seeing each other every day. We lived in the same building.
Yep. See you, I'll be going to work. You be coming back in the evening sometime. It was funny, man. Yep.
Yeah. Different. Yeah, our schedules it was crazy schedules, but people will never understand, really what it's like for you guys. Even coming in as a rookie, they don't understand that you're still living in an apartment, just like, they always think of the glitz and glamour of being a quarterback in the NFL. They don't realize that, hey, we're starting out just like everybody else. You're living in an apartment. And
yeah, well, it was cool because, now that I actually had some cash, I could get a nicer apartment. You know what I mean? If you saw my place in college, it was okay, but it's funny. I went back to FSU for some work with the ACC Network, and I went by there. It's probably like a 400 square foot spot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. But nonetheless, man, I was very excited to get to Buffalo, and we can get into it as we go forward.
Well, you're kind of leading into really what we want to talk about, and we've done a lot this year, especially talking about this rookie draft class with 5 quarterbacks. And I did a big thing on culture matters, like how these guys are being brought along. What's the plan for a rookie quarterback? If the organization doesn't have a plan, these guys are going to fall into almost a feeling of homelessness. Like, am I wanted? Do you guys have a plan for me? And I actually brought your name up, and I talked about EJ. I felt like in Buffalo, Doug Whaley was a first-time GM. Doug Marrone was a first-time head coach. I was a first-time director of player personnel. Russ Brandon was kind of the acting, I want to say he was president, but we didn't have, Ralph Wilson was that was when he was sick and going through his health, where I always said, I don't think we handled you correctly. And the part that I always talked about, EJ, was that meeting we had in Marrone's office when we had your dad come in. We were 2-2. Everything was okay. And you're getting told, I know, here we go. I know, I hate to bring it up, but you're getting told that we're going to go with Kyle Orton.
Second season.
This is second season. After a rookie season that people forget, there was a lot of highlight. We're going to talk about this.
Carolina.
There was a lot of highlights in that rookie year that, once again, the rookie year wasn't handled correctly either. There was still some, you had some injury stuff, and there was still some back and forth going on. But that meeting that day, I can remember I told Tyler this, and I told him on the pod. I was sitting there, And I remember thinking, I was looking at you and your dad, and I was thinking, I wonder if they think, do we know what we're doing? And I remember thinking, I'm not sure we know what we're doing. I really didn't feel like we had a great plan for you. And I didn't understand why things were being kind of yanked around. And what are we doing with Kyle Orton? And all right, now you can go. How did you feel on that day? And did you feel like there was a plan for you?
Yeah, Jim, first off, this is, I always kind of dreamed of a moment to talk about this. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it was, me getting benched because I wasn't playing good or whatever. But really, as you said, Coach Marone told me that he wanted me to take a step back to learn from a veteran. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. I didn't like it, but I thought maybe that's the, best thing for me in my future. So I trusted in his decision. I trusted in the decision that Doug and yourself was making, or, people that were higher up than I was as a player. And not to mention Nathaniel Hackett was a first-year offensive coordinator as well. And so just in combination of all of that, I think none of us really knew what we were doing. I certainly was kind of figuring it out week by week. Honestly, I didn't have a veteran room that was really supporting me in the way that I needed it. I didn't have that guy. And so it was Jeff Toole as a backup who wanted to play, and then Thad Lewis at some point, and then Kyle ended up coming over out of retirement, I think, and Kyle was kind of hanging out too until he had the chance to play. So yeah, man, I do remember that day, and it was a rough day because I left there, and I don't know if my dad was actually in the room that day, Jim.
He was. I think he was, EJ.
I don't think he was. So my dad was in the room when I first tore my meniscus after that rookie preseason.
Okay, so I had that wrong then.
Yeah. My dad was in the room.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So I just remember after that Houston game, going back to the game, we had it in the bag. I think that pick six to J.J. Watt, which still gets run on the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And it was an amazing play. But nonetheless, the right tackle, Sean Trail, should have cut him down. I would have had Fred in the flat, probably would have scored a touchdown. So I just say that I learned that, football is a game of inches. And so that one play really changed a lot of perspective for me because my confidence got, hit right there. And I remember going to the locker room after that game, like, dang, man, I can't do this. I can't do that. And so I thought that's what led to that next meeting that Monday when Marone told me to take a step back.
You're right. I did forget that.
I left the meeting and I went to the quarterback room, talked to Nate, and Nate was like, I'm sorry, but whatever, keep grinding. You're going to be fine. And I was like, all right, cool. And I just trusted all y'all. Honestly, man, I was a green kid in the sense of none of my family beside Bruce Smith played in the NFL. And even then, I don't think I knew what the business of the NFL really was. And so I wish I had an agent that would have stepped in and said, hey, like you said, what's the 5-year plan for EJ? If you are making this decision, well, what's the plan? What are the next steps? So he does get back to that opportunity to play again. And so I just remember going in the car after that meeting and I cried. I cried in my car and I called my dad and cried on the phone with him. And of course he was there to support me. And then of course it runs on SportsCenter, it runs on all these media outlets. The EJ Manuel gets benched. And I was embarrassed, honestly, man. I was a first round pick and I was like, well, dang, like, do I belong here? And was this the right move by them and for me and all this kind of stuff? So it was honestly a whirlwind. And to go even deeper, man, I kind of went into a trail of depression off of it. And, it just I wasn't in a good place at all mentally.
What goes into that depression, EJ? What did people not really see that season, behind the scenes in your life?
Yeah, well, one, I was living by myself in that apartment, like Jim was talking about. And I think that was probably the worst thing for me because I would go home after watching tape and I would just sit there and kind of like dwell in this frustration of not being able to play, not feeling good enough, then going on Instagram, reading nasty comments from fans who were, disgruntled or, getting weird looks from people walking to the mall. I'll never forget that. It was a group of like young dudes looking at me, just shook their head at me. I'm like, dang, bro, it's that bad, And yeah, man, that's why I think I went down this really dark path of not believing in myself anymore. And I never, ever had that problem in my life, not even on a football level, just my parents raised me, my family raised me to always believe in my abilities. And so this was like the first real adversity I had in my life, to be honest. And it came in sport and it came in a very public way because I was an NFL quarterback, you know what I mean? And I was a first round pick, the only one taken in the first round that year. And, everybody has their comments about what that class was and this and that. And so a lot of that weight was on me, man. And I I honestly wasn't mentally sure enough to handle it. I kind of went down the negative cycle versus thinking of it in a positive, like, okay, I can just keep grinding and I'll be fine. And I just went down that tunnel of like, I'm not good enough. And so I felt like that obviously made my play when I did get chances to play in the future, not what I knew I could have been.
Man, I mean, we talked about Sammy Watkins.
Well,
I mean,
that's
it would
what
have
I
been the
said, yeah.
year. I mean, I met up with Sammy. He went through
Tyler
a
did the
similar
story on
depression.
Sammy Watkins, and EJ, we didn't know how disturbed Sammy was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And he told Tyler the whole story, and Tyler wrote about it. But people don't understand the mental stress and the things that you guys go through is real.
Yeah.
You know, and to hear you talk about it is actually refreshing too, because that wasn't the only thing that was crazy that you had to deal with. The other thing I wanted to talk about while we have you too is the whole, when we ended up sitting Tyrod down at the end of that season and kind of just throwing you in there.
Yeah.
And it was for all the wrong everything was EJ. I told you, I'm being upfront with everything. And you
Jim,
already, it's good.
So this is the next year, Rex Ryan.
This is the next year.
That's 2 years.
Two
That's
more
2
years.
years later.
2 years.
We're
later.
Look, I'll kind of, and
Go ahead.
we're good on
Yeah.
time because I'm glad we're talking about this. So don't want to cut off, like I said.
I want to make sure you get a chance to talk about this because I wanted people to hear from you because I've talked about it. Yep.
Yeah. So first off, the rookie year was good. Like I look back at the numbers of guys that are playing right now. Like my numbers are just as good, if not better. You know what I mean?
EJ, I talked about that in that article I wrote. I said he was playing well.
I was playing well. Yeah, I got rookie of the week twice, I think. With a torn meniscus.
Yes. With coming back from
in 2.5 weeks, Jim. Like most of the time, a meniscus, you're out for a month and
you're right back in.
I was right back in, played against Tom Brady.
I remember it all.
Fast forward, going to the third year, new coaching overhaul. Rex comes in, brings in Greg Roman. They bring in Tyrod. They bring in Castle. And to be honest, looking back on it, I had no shot. Like, if in fact, I don't even think they wanted me on the team, to be honest.
EJ, you are correct. Go ahead.
Well, real quick, EJ, though, because my memory of you covering you that year at the Buffalo News, Cleveland, game-winning drive.
Yep.
You lead the team down.
And then scored a 2-point play to win it.
Scored the 2-point play to win it.
Yep.
And I just remember this. With a
shut your ass up. Yep. Monday night. Right? It was a Monday night game.
Are we correct to read the lips? Shut your ass up. So.
Yeah, basically that's exactly what I said. Yeah, because I had a chip on my shoulder, and I just again kept thinking that things were going to work out, and they just didn't. And so, a quick funny story. This is when I kind of really started noticing like the business of football, and if guys want you on the team, they do, and if they don't want you on the team, they'll try to make things happen so you're not. So maybe a day before we played our third preseason game, which we all know is the most important one. We played the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hadn't gone with the ones all preseason. All right. It was Matt and it was Tyrod.
Yep. You didn't have it. You didn't even get a snap here or there.
I didn't get a snap with the ones. All right. This is why I think it's funny. So Greg Roman comes to me, I think maybe 2 days or a day before. He said, "Hey, you're going to start the third preseason game." I'm like, "Oh, all right." Like, I haven't taken any reps with the ones. You're like, "Oh, you be fine." You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. So I get out there, first 2 series. And then he told me I'm going to play the first 2 series and then come out and then go back in the game. And I'm like, well, Ty and Matt got a full half, or at least the first quarter, you know what I'm saying? So crazy enough, man, I just kind of looked at that. I was like, did they try to set me up so I didn't play good type deal? And what's crazy, and this is why I believe in God as well, the first 2 series we score. Fred runs a big touchdown. I'm like, I go like 8 for 8 in my first 2 drives. They pull me out. Ty comes in. I go back in. I basically had the probably best statistical preseason of my career that third year, and still ended up being inactive, like the third string quarterback the first week of the season. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, okay, no matter how well I played, it really didn't matter. I wasn't in the plans for this new regime. And so, and this happened again in my 6th season with the Raiders. I thought the best preseason game of my career. Went 18-22, 255 yards, 3 touchdown passes versus Seattle. This is when I was with Oakland. Yeah. And Gruden cut me 2 days after that. And so I was just like, man, like, what am I not doing to give myself an opportunity to at least be a backup somewhere? So this is why I say that area of, anxiety and depression and all these negative thoughts kind of came from, because like you said, Jim, I felt a little homeless as far as my football world. Like, I didn't know where I fit in. I thought I was good enough, but for whatever reason, even if I played close to perfect, it wasn't good enough for some of these coaches. So yeah.
You would have been correct on the fact, EJ, and this is the hard part when you're in a front office and have relationships with players as well. And I always enjoyed talking to you and always being upfront with guys, because that's to me is, you guys aren't talking to people if you can tell people they're BSing you or not. Right. And I can remember thinking Giro wanted Castle, that was his guy, right?
Yeah.
Rex, front office, we went out and got Tyrod, thinking let's get Tyrod to compete with Castle.
Right.
You didn't have a shot.
Right. I wasn't in the plans.
You weren't in the plan.
Under contract. Yeah.
Under contract.
Mm-hmm.
We still felt like no matter what, EJ Manuel should be the top backup in the NFL. If somebody doesn't want him as a starter, how would you not be the top backup?
Right.
I remember you talking a little bit about that year. I think Nathan Peterman was starting for the Bills.
Yep.
You know, and you're like, I can't even.
Yeah, I sent something on Instagram that I had deleted soon after.
That's right. I remember this.
I think he threw a bunch of picks in the game, and
you're like 5 his first start. I think.
Yeah. And I said something like, and you know, I've never met Nate.
No, it had nothing to do against Peter. Right. It was not against Peterman
at all to him, but it was more just the situation. I was like, man, if I did that in a game, you know, I don't think I would have survived the season or whatever. You know, so I deleted it because I think I was watching the game in the airport. I was traveling somewhere, and yeah, man, it's crazy, Jim. And yeah, go ahead.
Don't get canceled, DJ. Stand by it. Stand by it.
Nah, it's all good.
Leave the comment up there.
Because you know what? I just always wanted to take the high road, though, Tyler. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I knew, I got to a point where I started realizing, okay, like things like the cards are literally stacked against me now. Like, and then Jim, another thing, that third preseason, I was expecting to maybe get traded, right?
Right, so, right. We thought maybe you were going to be very marketable. We did feel that way too.
Right.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't know how that works as far as, you know, you guys trading me or whatever, but I just thought, okay, maybe there'll be an opening somewhere else. I just had a great preseason. I'm hot right now. And people can go back and look it up. I mean,
did you look around, Jim? Like, you could try to trade EJ?
No, it was a strange thing because, to be honest with you, we knew Matt Castle had a foot injury that was shaky. Okay. Right. We weren't, the front office, we weren't in favor. Right. We really wanted you and Tyrod to
compete,
figure that out. That's how we saw it. Giro we talked about that. But the Castle injury was preventing us from really shopping you too hard, thinking what other teams knew about he had a foot injury that we took a risk on to sign him. Okay. Other teams, that's one of those medical things that other teams would know about. And so we didn't really want to lose you, because we really felt like, okay, if Tyrod's a guy, Castle's might not even be, you know.
Right.
And we knew Castle didn't want to be around anyway if he wasn't starting. So that's probably why that's why we didn't shop him.
Yeah, and here's another thing I just want to chime in.
We're getting it all out there right now.
No, this is great, man. This is like therapy for me, bro. I love it.
This is awesome.
Because now I have no bad blood toward anybody. I'm happy.
No, it's the business. It is the dirty side of the business, right?
Absolutely. And so going back on it, I still wish I had my agent at the time step in and at least get a picture of what the heck was going on.
Right.
So then I knew, right? I could prepare myself because, like I said, that third preseason, I thought I was going to get traded to Dallas because somebody got hurt. It was either Tony Romo. I think Tony might have broke his ankle that year.
I think you're right.
And Matt ended up getting traded to Dallas.
Exactly right.
Played like 16.
Yep.
Backing up Tyrod. And so again, it wasn't nothing about me not wanting to be a Bill. I did. No. I just wanted to play. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like I could be a starter. Like I just felt like I could still be a starter at that point in my career. And even now, man, I know I could be a backup somewhere. I'm tired of, I got tired of dealing with it, to be honest with you. Like once that happened to me 3 times, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do something else, man, and enjoy my life, because this was not making me happy anymore. You know what I mean? Like I was making, money and all this kind of stuff as an NFL quarterback, but that wasn't important to me anymore. I wanted to wake up and smile and be happy and feel wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like feel like my work mattered. And that's how I feel now with ESPN and ACC Network.
EJ, we went through that in 2017 where Willie and I, we hired McDermott. We got him the interview and we hired him, right?
Now you're sitting here with me.
We had our best. we had our best off season. We had a killer free agency class, a killer draft, and we got fired the day after the draft.
Wow.
So I had zero desire to go back to I'm with you. It was like, I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to find something else that I want. And you're doing it. And I get that. And that's why I was excited to catch up with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You got to think back, EJ, though. I mean, like, like that Texans game.
Oh,
say Chantrell cuts that guy
we
down.
talked
You
about
win the game. Like, what if? Like, where does
we win the game? We win the game. Possibly.
You don't have that meeting, right?
No, we're 3. If we win that game, I think we're 3-1.
We're 3-1.
3-1.
We won. We were 2-0. We beat the Dolphins. We beat, I think, Baltimore.
Yeah, everything was on track. Yeah, everything was on track.
And then we lost on the road to Houston. I think at that point when that interception happened, and that wasn't the reason why we lost the game.
No,
I mean, I'm
but
sure there's other things that caused it, but I just remember for me personally, that was like a big hit to my confidence for whatever reason. Right. I just was like, dang, man, I can't believe that happened. And now, and again, looking back on it, I should have been like, yo, wipe it off. I mean, everybody throws picks. Pick six happens to Tom Brady. He's the best of all time, and he still throws them. So, you know, kind of wipe yourself off. And I just didn't have, I don't know, man. I just didn't, when I went to the sideline, nobody said anything to me. So I just was like, dang, like, where's the love here? You know what I mean? Like, where's all the coach or whoever? And nobody said anything to me. And so I just remember that point where I was just like, man, felt alone a little bit, but you know, it's part of the game. So it is what it is.
But you really were open on that depression and mentally the dark place that you went out of that meeting, out of getting benched. Yeah. Did that basically ruin your career, you think? Like where I mean, you know yourself as a quarterback. Like where could you have gone, you think, if this was handled right?
I don't think it ruined anything. I think it changed a lot, not just my career, but also for my life, because it kind of permeated into some of my personal life as well. You know what I mean? Like as far as just dealing with insecurities that we all have, right? Everybody has them. Everybody deals with anxiety, but I felt like mine got a little bit more heightened. And I guess my sense of, you know, self and personality and self-value a little bit kind of got hit. So I wouldn't say it ruined my career. I don't think my career was ruined. Because to be honest, I could still be playing and I know that. But for me, I started kind of realizing, okay, this isn't bringing me happiness anymore.
Yeah. So to lose that joy's got to be brutal.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm not an angry dude or an irritable guy. That's not me. I'm a smiling dude. Hey, Jim, what's up, bro? How you doing? Good to see you.
Every day.
Like,
you were every
day. I
day.
love, and that wasn't me when I was there in that moment. So, again, I think it was a perfect bad storm. I was living in Buffalo by myself. Not the most fun place in the sense of when you're 22, 23 years old. It's a great city because the fans love the team and it's great to play football. But when you have a lot of free time, there wasn't anything for me to do. And so I really didn't have an outlet to kind of just feel away from football for a little bit. Yeah. And I think we all kind of went through that. You know, a lot of us young guys, you know, and Sammy probably talked about it as well. It's just, I look at it like this. If I'd have went to Buffalo in 2017 when you guys hired Coach McDermott and I was in my 5th year or 6th year in my career as a man, I'd have been better about it because I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm looking at the league as like, now this is my job. I'm not really living here because I'm trying to have fun and stuff. I was still young. I was still 22 at the time. So I think my thought process was just a little different, if that makes sense. I don't know.
But, it does make sense. And I think it's well said.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of another guy that was young, you were around a lot was Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, Nate. Yep.
And Nate, we were talking about him. You know, Nate's going to get he had some head coaching interviews and he's going to be on the circuit and probably will get hired this year as a head coach. I was telling Tyler, you don't have to say anything that you don't want to say. But I said, I thought he had a very corny approach with you. And I don't think he uses that approach with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Jim.
I just thought he was corny. I thought he was trying too hard. Like he was treating you almost like a rookie, but not a man. Like he just seemed too coddled almost. Like EJ's so young. Yeah.
Right. I think again, that's why it would have been great if we had that vet to come in. I don't care who it was. I mean, I think initially it was Kevin Cobb.
Kevin Cobb, yeah.
And that didn't work out. Kev left after the rookie year. I didn't even play that year. Like
He got hurt. Yeah.
On IR. So I just felt like, again, that plan just wasn't there for all of us. And Nate
All
did
of
the
us.
best he could. I'm not going to blame Nate for anything.
No, I wouldn't blame
I'm not
him.
saying you are,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But if that was his approach, that was his approach. That was his personality.
Yeah, it was just strange to me. I'm like,
but I think, Jim, the reason why it could be different is because I'm not Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of
gotcha.
Aaron Rodgers, when Nate got him, Aaron Rodgers was already a Hall of Fame quarterback when Nate got the OC job for Green Bay, right?
No doubt.
There's a certain way that Aaron probably liked to be coached and likes his plays to be presented. I don't know. I'm not in that room.
No, I hear you. I know.
I'm just kind of speaking to why you may have seen the differences, but Nate and I remember it was fun, man. I mean,
he was good. We like Nate a lot.
Yeah,
Tyler,
yeah,
we
it
like
was
Nate.
fun. Yeah. We were trying to figure it out together. I remember we had the Jets the first time, and they brought that All Out, and Nate had this whole presentation about All Out and all this kind of stuff, and we kind of like overthought about it because when we got in the game, they would show it and then not bring it. So I'm like making Lee Smith come in, and we're doing 7-man protections when we really didn't need to. And so again, we all were learning. And the second time we played them, while I was hurt, I was spending time with Paul Hackett, and we were watching tape on the Jets, preparing for that All Out again. The second time we played them, we torched them, and we won that game. So
remember that. Yeah.
Those are like cool, fun memories that I have of working with Nate, and obviously excited to see how he continues to ascend. And even Jason Vrabel, who was, I think, our assistant at the time.
Yep. He brought him. I always respect. I like that about Nate too. Like, I like loyalty.
These guys, absolutely.
I like loyalty.
And any quirky motivational tactics though from Nate?
Say again.
Any like quirky motivational tactics from Nate?
Yeah, well, Nate likes to dance, and he's a fun dude. People know that though. I saw a Sports Illustrated article about him, and I didn't get a chance to read it, but that's his way of, that's his philosophy, man. So every coach is different, and again, I think he was doing the best that he could, because when I got drafted there, he was like, "Hey, man, we're gonna make this thing happen together," and I believed in that.
He did try. He really. He did. He tried to. I think he
brought in Todd Downing as well at one point.
Right.
To actually be our quarterback coach. Then Todd brought me over to Oakland. So, like I said, I've formed some great relationships with coaches and guys that are still in the league doing well. And I think I would have even developed that same thing with the Chiefs had I played that season that they won the Super Bowl. But like I said, it was after getting cut by the Raiders that year before. If they weren't going to guarantee my roster spot, I was like, man, I'm not going to kind of go through preseason and then subsequently maybe make the team, maybe not. But what's funny, Chad Henne had broke his ankle in that preseason. They called me back in August, but I was already working with the network, with ACC Network. So I told, Coach Reed respectfully, like, I appreciate it. But he was basically like, hey, we want you to come back. And so that actually gave me the closure I needed on my career, honestly, guys, because I knew a team that won the Super Bowl wanted me to come back and be the backup to Pat. And it wasn't about me not playing or being good enough. That moment when they called me back kind of gave me that closure. I was like, nah, I can move forward in this next career.
That's incredible. So you're at peace. I mean, with everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I still have a competitive nature, and I watch the games because these are my friends that are playing. But when I watch, I don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean? I'm good, and I'm happy. And like you said, I'm at peace. My family's good. I'm set. Building a family myself now, and so it's good. Things are good.
That's awesome. I know you got to get out of here, but your family's good. Like, what's life like for you right now, for people who might not know?
Yeah, well, life is good now. I live in South Florida, working, obviously with ACC Network and ESPN. That role has continued to grow. This is my third season, and looking to get married next year. And my family's doing great. So yeah, things are good. I kind of keep, now that I'm not playing anymore, I like the fact that I can kind of be off the grid. So I like my privacy, you know what I mean? And but I'm doing good. And to be honest, I still have a lot of love for the Buffalo Bills. They changed my life. They changed the trajectory of my family and my family's life. So I'm very grateful. And I'm grateful for you, Jim. You know what I mean? And for you guys giving me the opportunity. And I know, and we can talk more. I'm good. I can extend this next call. But if you guys want to hit on any other points, I'm all open to talk about it. Because again, I always wanted this opportunity to talk about it in a fair way too. So it didn't seem like I'm making excuses, because that's not who I am. Like, I know what happened.
You were always so upfront, even in the moment though. I remember, I was at the Buffalo News, just that 2015 season, Rex's first year, which, as a member of the media, that was the dream, right? That season was batshit crazy. You didn't know what was going to happen in that locker room. Sammy's going to demand the ball 10 times a game, and Marcus Easley's going to call you out on a Friday. That was fun. But you were always so honest, in some tough moments. I mean, you were like, I'm not just saying this because we're talking to you here. I mean, one of the nicest players to talk to in rough moments. Like you handled everything so incredibly well when a lot of guys would blow us off. F you, like I'm not talking to you. Like you were always available. You would talk. You would talk the whole 45 minutes that we're in that locker room, and I just always respected you for that. We didn't get to know each other as well as I would have liked, but I mean, even in the brief moments, it was really appreciable. We all were.
I appreciate that. And you know what, Tyler and Jim, I'm gonna just hit this before you talk. For me too, you know what I mean? I look back at my numbers and I compare them to other rookies, and I'm like, I didn't play bad. You know what I mean? So for me, there's nothing for me to hang my head about. Now, the decisions that were made that had to do with me, I can't do anything about that. I got to a point maturity wise where, okay, let it go. Like there was nothing I could do. If a coach wanted me to play, then I was going to play. And if he didn't want me to play, I wasn't going to play. It just is what it is. And so, when I look back on my time in Buffalo, man, I'm proud of it. And I wanted to win a Super Bowl and take us to the playoffs and do all the things and, being the likes of Tom and Aaron Rodgers, those kind of guys. And I felt like I had that talent and that ability, but I'm not the only one this has happened to, you know what I mean? No. So who am I to sit here and dwell on it and think, oh man, the world's over? No, it's not. Like I'm happy. And, I'm sure there's a bunch of other quarterbacks that were first round picks that could say the same thing or say similar things. And so, it's all good. But I did seriously learn though, there's two things. One, I learned the power that you have as a starting quarterback in the NFL that I didn't know I had back then. I should have went in the room and told Coach Marone, why the heck are we doing this? Like, I want to play, or what's the plan? Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? I didn't ask any questions, Jim, but that was me being a nice guy and just a yes, sir, no, sir. Yep. But really, I should have kind of ruffled the feathers a little bit.
You were trusting
I was trusting that they were going to have my best, thought at hand or whatever, And then the second thing is just not to take any crap from anybody. You know what I mean? Like, not that I got walked over, but I think sometimes I was too respectful to a fault, and I should have spoke up for myself. And so that's how I move now in my life and in business. And it's a good learning lesson. Definitely raised me as a man for sure.
I mean, I'm thinking of London, right? That couldn't have started any worse, that game against the Jaguars. You came back. You guys could have won that game. If they don't call DPI on Roby, that was
we win that game. I know.
You win that game.
You think about what we've talked about on this. We talked about Chantrell not cutting a guy, right?
And all love to Chantrell too. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus. I was just talking about what happened.
Listen, you don't have to. We drafted.
It was either Chantrell. It might have been the offensive lineman. I think he played at Baylor. He had dreads as well.
Richardson. He was playing inside though.
Big Rich. Yeah.
I saw him in the AAF, that league I was working in too. So
okay.
Don't worry about him. And he got a little heavier too. But think about that. Chantrell makes that cut block, or they don't throw that flag on Roby in London. Yep. Those are wins.
Yeah, wins. And then Jim, even another. We get the third down against Atlanta in Toronto. In Toronto, we win that game too.
Good call.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot that I look back on.
Good call.
And then even if we catch the third down versus New England in my first start ever, we win that game as well. We iced the game. We gave the ball back to Tom Brady. They go and score. They kick a field goal and they beat us by 2. So
I remember going to your apartment before that, your very first start that weekend against. Yep. And I remember walking out of that apartment. My brother was visiting the weekend, and we went in there and just say, "What's up?" Meeks was in there.
Yeah.
I believe Duke Williams might have been in there too. Just hanging out. Great dudes.
Yeah.
And I remember walking back to my apartment with my brother, and I'm like, man, I feel like we are in a college dorm right now and getting ready to play Tom Brady, who is like, you know what I mean? I'm like, this just is crazy to me how this is going down right now. And we almost won.
Almost pulled it off, man. Almost pulled it off. And, another thing too, when I got to Oakland, I think that's where I started seeing how young quarterbacks should be raised. And I talk about Derek Carr and how they managed him. And I think he had Matt Schaub as his starter/backup that he was able to learn from. And I think DC took over as a rookie, but at least he had that infrastructure and things were built around him. And they just kind of went with whatever Derek wanted to do. So if Derek said, we're going to do this, that's what we did. You know what I mean? And that's, again, why I learned. And Derek was in his third year when I got there, I think. Yeah.
Tell you what,
third year because he just got paid.
He doesn't seem. They don't seem too unhappy that Gruden's out of there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
the way
but
they're
I mean,
playing.
I just.
No, I'm just saying though. Yeah.
I just say that because teams will really build when you really
have a plan.
Yeah, you have a plan. They had a plan for DC. They had a plan for Patrick Mahomes. He didn't start his whole rookie year to the last game of the season. The rest is history. Like Pat had a chance to learn from Alex Smith. I just know that if I believe if I had that opportunity too, man, to at least learn. And then also, I didn't start the season fully healthy. I had that meniscus injury.
Crazy.
Second week in the preseason.
Crazy.
Rushed back. And I don't think I got healthy until like week 9. And then I took my other meniscus and my other leg.
Yeah,
so
2 injuries, 2 knees.
I had 2, yeah. So there's a lot that goes on, man. And, I just appreciate the platform now to talk about it. So.
I remember talking to Doug Whaley, when I launched Go Long, it was with a big series talking to Jim and Doug about how close, the Bills were to getting Patrick Mahomes and, the quarterback dominoes that kind of fell up to that draft. And Whaley was telling me how if you didn't tear your meniscus, was it against Cleveland your rookie year?
Yep. Yeah.
He really
Thursday night. Yep.
Thursday night football. That's right. I was in Green Bay.
We were beating them too. too. I got hurt, and then they came back and beat us. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, just to throw another what if in there, he views that as the biggest one. That
he brings that up all the time.
Physically, I mean, obviously it changes things, but he thought mentally that might have affected you in a way too. Like that you were really turning a corner up to that game as a young quarterback.
I was turning in a positive way, but you know what, it changed. I remember when I hurt my knee. I'll never forget this. And one of the coaches, I ain't gonna say his name, but he was like, why didn't you get out of bounds? Or I'm like, what you mean? Like, I'm playing football. Like, I'm trying to get us the first down. You know what I mean? Like, almost like I got hurt was my fault type deal.
Right.
And so I just was like, man, this is wild. So again, going back to like that
support.
Like, just like, what you mean? I just tore my LCL and you're asking me why didn't I go out of bounds? Like, because I was playing football. I was trying to, get extra yards. And so, yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. And to be honest, I don't have any regrets. I do wish things would have worked out just so I could have more, whatever in my house, whatever, more jerseys of friends and stuff. If I played longer, but I'm happy, man. And I think I do know that now I can, give back to some of these young quarterbacks that I come across too. I can kind of share a little bit of good and bad with them and just kind of make sure they understand this is a business, man. It ain't sweet. Everybody was so high on Trevor Lawrence, they just won one game. You know what I mean? But
right.
He's a great player, but he's a rookie. It happens. Zach Wilson, he's a rookie. It happens. To me, Mac Jones is playing excellent football, and I thought he was going to be the best one and most pro-ready anyways. But, yeah, man, people just forget rookies have to learn. And even going to Justin Fields, I felt like the best thing for him was to learn from somebody. They obviously pulled the trigger and have him starting. So he's going to have ups, have downs.
I was just going to say, that's the one guy you probably could benefit calling.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a part of it. It's like
part of it.
Weight of the world, the city's now on his shoulders.
Right.
So everybody's expecting him to be Tom Brady, and Tom's played for 20-something years. Like you can't compare. That's not apples to apples. And yeah, he might get there, but he's a rookie. So yeah.
What's the best way to handle a rookie quarterback then, from your experience? If you're running one of these teams, like what is the perfect scenario? The perfect way to bring a guy along if you draft him in the first round.
So if I'm a GM or a decision maker, like Jim said, the beginning of this pod, what's the plan? All right. So what are your goals? Here are our expectations as a team.
I like that.
Expect to get you from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. What's your offseason plan? Where you're going to be living? What support staff do we need to have? Do we need to get you a trainer? Do we need to get you a meal prepper, a cook, like all this stuff? I'm making everything easy for my first round quarterback so he can just play football. And so a lot of us don't have that because we don't know. You know what I mean? We come from, I ain't have any money. So like I'm learning all this stuff on the fly. My parents, we live, middle class. And so a lot of that stuff, I don't even think I didn't think I could afford it, but I could have. You know what I mean? It would have been an investment for my career. So I'm just making a plan for him first. And then as far as football, if he's able to play like a Mac Jones, yeah, he can play. You know what I mean? If he can handle the ups and the downs and he can handle the mental part of the game, then let him play. But if he's not ready, that's okay. And if he plays in his second or third year, that's okay too. Watch Jordan. Everybody talking about Jordan Love. Jordan Love is probably going to benefit the most from playing behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons. I'm telling you, and I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be much better as a guy that sat behind him for 2 years versus playing his first year?
Well, I also think, EJ, I've been paying attention to a lot of these rookies that are dealing with rookie head coaches
Yep.
who are unproven that you dealt with, where Doug Marrone was a rookie head coach.
Same, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is dealing with Urban Meyer. That's a rookie head coach. I don't care what he did in college. NFL's different.
Yep.
You know, Justin Fields is dealing with a coach who couldn't get Trubisky, you know, the best out of Trubisky. You know, he already failed with a rookie. And then you go to Mac Jones. Who's he with?
Bill Belichick.
And the
Yep.
offensive coordinator who's been waiting to be the next head coach. So, I mean,
And
there's
the
a reason why
support
Mac
around him.
Jones, yes, that's part of it too. It's not, it shouldn't all be on the player.
No.
What's the support system in place?
Yeah, that would be my biggest thing, Jim, is what's the
Yep.
plan and
What's
what
the
do we
plan?
have to support this guy?
Agreed.
Where's our money allocated to? Do we have a really good offensive line, a veteran O-line?
Agreed.
We had a really great center and who's still a very close friend of Eric Wood.
Yeah.
But get other pieces around E. Wood to make E.
Yep.
Wood's job even easier. You know, that's kind of, and that's a perfect scenario. Every scenario is different. But whether you play him early, and then also if you do decide to play him, give him 4 years to figure it out, man. Even
Don't just yank that. Yeah.
yeah, don't yank him after a year and
You can't feel that pressure every game.
Yeah,
Like,
let him play.
am I
Like,
coming out? Right.
yeah, it's a reason why you take us that early, and people can say what they want, but I was a good player, and so I was going to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just felt like I just needed time, and I feel like the rookies that are able to, and even Ryan Tannehill, he's had up and downs in his career, but he figured it. Now he's one of the top in the league. He's at Tennessee doing his thing.
Great.
There's so many other guys that I could use as examples that whether they had the support, things worked out, and if they didn't have the support, their careers kind of got cut short. So yeah.
Well said.
Awesome. EJ,
Man,
this was good
great.
for every. It was
You guys
good
can
for
tell
me,
I work
man.
on TV, right?
Yeah.
Well, that you've always been this way though.
You have.
You always
appreciate
have. So it's just been good to catch up, man, and really
Yeah,
air all this out.
absolutely.
I feel like we needed to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. And if we can talk more off the pod, and if you guys
Yeah.
are down in South Florida, give me a ring, man.
That's
good to
definite.
catch up with you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we don't want to cut you. If there's anything else you got to get off your chest. You
Nah,
know,
man.
You
Nah,
guys
this
do
was
chicken
fun.
wings or anything in Buffalo. You know,
I got a Zoom at 2, so this was actually good.
Perfect.
But yeah, everything else is again, I appreciate y'all. And if y'all ever need me to come back on at some point to talk
That'd be
about
cool.
the Bills or whatever, I'm
That'd
here
be
for
great.
you.
Dude,
Yeah, so go Bills.
hey, anytime, open invite, man. I think the Bills
Yeah.
fans love hearing
Yeah,
from you.
this will be good.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
Yeah.
You know, you do have a lot of fans here still. I
Yeah,
might
nah,
have
and
that
you
way
know what?
looking at social media, but you really do.
Yeah,
I've heard
and
from them.
even when I move around out here, man, there's Bills fans that live all over the country. And so people still show love, and that means a lot, you know, to all Bills Mafia fans. I'm not saying that to be cliche, or that truly does for me, again, about that therapy. When you have people that still support you of the fan base of the team that you got drafted to, that means a ton. So thank y'all and all the listeners out there, you know, much love, and hopefully, you know, the Bills go out there and get that Lombardi trophy this year. I think they can do it.
Fantastic. Well, EJ Manuel, thank you so much for joining us. ACC Network, ESPN, at EJ Manuel 3. Find them anywhere, everywhere. You're a pro, man. You've joined the dark side, so there's no turning back now.
Your side, yeah.
Great to have you.
Yeah, likewise. All right, guys. Y'all take care.
Thanks
You
so
too,
much,
EJ.
EJ.
All right, guys.
See you.